So there is a difference between a large breed puppy and other puppies. So large breed puppies, I guess we'll set a couple of ground rules here, and we are going to be using this chart here. And this chart comes from Small Animal Clinical Nutrition. I compiled this chart from the chapter on puppies and the chapter on orthopedic disorders. So you will find that there are some different numbers between those two chapters. I chose to use the stricter numbers because I'm always asked what's the absolute best, absolute best, absolute best. So please know that the fat numbers that we are using are quite restrictive. Because I'm using the orthopedic developmental, the numbers that we need to avoid a lot of orthopedic developmental, and I'll point that out when we get there. But the difference between a small breed puppy and a large breed puppy is we don't want very fast or excessive growth, because when that happens and we provide the body with too much nutrition or too rich of nutrition, the dog, specifically the dog as a species, which may be different than a lot of other species, because there's not like large breed cats or large breed horse or anything like that. And the dog uniquely as a species, we know that if we provide too rich of nutrition, the body will lay down bone too fast, and it will lay down bone inappropriately too fast, which can lead to some developmental disorders later in life. Okay, so that's nutrition science. We have that information, and so it would behoove us to take that information and formulate a pet food that is accounting for those things. And so that's why large breed puppies actually need a more restricted profile than one would think. The other question I get frequently is, when do I transition my large breed puppy, to adult food? And there is the right, most perfect answer, and then there is reality. The right answer, the most correct answer, is that you want to transition them once the growth has stopped. And so every dog is going to be different. There is no special number. Okay. And so, it would be great for me to say you need to bring your puppy in every month, and I'll measure them height and width and diameter. And when we have determined, or you're doing this at home, you have determined that the growth has stopped, we will then switch from the large breed puppy to an adult. And that might be, anywhere between 9 months to 18 months. I've heard out there 24 months. I don't think that that's true. I have never seen a dog still growing at 24 months old, but whatever it is. The other thing that I have heard is, well, based on the growth plates, large breed dogs, growth plates, insert your breed here, Great Dane, Mastiff, Cane Corso, insert your breed here. I read, or my breeder told me that these dogs are going to grow until 18 months old. The growth plates, whatever, don't close till 18 to 24 months. That is true. That is true. But what they are failing to convey to you, or maybe they don't know, or maybe they read this on the internet, is that although the growth plates in general, all the growth plates, to take them in totality, may close at 18 months for a large breed dog, it is not the growth plates that we are worried about. Okay, so there are growth plates all over the body. You have a growth plate in your pelvis, you have a growth plates in your spine, you have growth plates in your long bones, you have growth plates in your pinky. Okay, the only bones that we're worried about are the long bones. And in general, the long bones will have stopped their excessive growth at around 9 months. And so if we don't transition them at exactly when they stop growing, or really close to when they stop growing, or at around 9 to 12 months, when the majority of the growth plates and the growth plates of the long bones, which we're worried about, close. If we don't do that, then we might be running into some issues with obesity. And to be quite honest, if at that last appointment, that 1 year appointment, when we tell you, look, it's time to switch, we're 12 months old, it's time to switch. The reason why we're doing that is there are a lot of people who forget to switch, and they just keep feeding large breed puppy, and they do it for years and years and years, and these dogs become obese. And so the sweet spot probably really to start transitioning is probably about a year for these guys. Or if you want to be absolutely precise, you need to do that when the growth has stopped or slowed, because you are literally measuring your dog. We're not talking about eyeballing it. We're not talking about, we'll think about it next month. I mean, that's the correct way to do it. So because most people don't do that, and the realistic way to do it is your vet will probably transition you at about 12 months so that we don't run into some other issues not related to growth issues if we don't do that transition at that time. So that is kind of the answer, and to hopefully dispel some of the myths. I don't really think they're myths. I think it's well-intended people that have read some information on the internet and have read some papers and say, oh, look, the growth plates close at 24 months for the Great Dane. But what they're failing to realize is there are a lot of growth plates in the body, and they're not the ones that we're worried about, and also that the growth exponentially decreases after 9 months. So the majority of growth is happening 0 to 9 months. And then after that, the growth is just really minuscule. And that makes sense when you think about it, right? So you get this little puppy and it's super fast growth. Those first couple months, they're getting big every appointment, like, oh my God, they've gotten so big, they've doubled, they tripled. That really doesn't happen. The dogs are not, Great Danes are not doubling and tripling after 12 months of age. And so that's what we're worried about. We're about that exponentially fast growth. We're not just worried about growth in general. It is the exponential growth.